Good morning, guys, and most importantly, welcome back. We're not here with the Premier League or the Minor League, but we're here with the Console Wars today, baby, which is what I'm super excited for. We're on the road to HRX, and of course, I'm here, but I couldn't do it without my man, Kresnik.
Yeah, I'm so excited to watch these console wars. I was able to do the console finals back at Worlds last year, and being able to do it again is so awesome. I love seeing these console players really like push to their peak, because we know they get contested in their region sometimes, but the real competition is when they can get together on LAN, play on these PCs, and with their controllers still, obviously, and really just push each other to the limits.
Right. I mean, I'm really, really excited, of course, for our first match we're going to be having today, which is Fatal Ambition versus Flashpoint. That's going to be not only interesting, but it's just going to be so awesome because, I mean, we have so many top-tier matches that we're going to be seeing today. But, of course, before we can talk a little bit about the matchup, we got to show off the bracket. We got to show what we have in store for today, and not only just for today, but, I mean, for the rest of the week. We see it right here, the PCW Semifinals.
We relabeled Hype Unit. I wanted to see a Hype Unit versus Hype Unit game potentially on the top, but we definitely did it the better way for sure. But Fatal Ambition Flashpoint will be the first game, the PS4 finals, going into Hype Unit versus Cyclone. Afterwards, for Xbox, then they'll be facing off in a nothing will change on the bracket depending on how this game goes, but they're going to face off in the console wars for a matter of pride. See what the best console team is.
Exactly. I mean, Fatal versus Flashpoint, of course, you can see it there as the first. We're going to be seeing that today, and then we'll see Hype Unit on the on the console side, on that side of the bracket versus Cyclone. When we move on, when we start to get the qualifiers, when the week starts kicking off, SSG will be facing that match 1 winner, Renegades versus All Business. Knights will be facing that match 2 winner, and then Kanga will be fighting the Hype Unit minor league team.
Yeah, and one thing that I actually didn't know until a little bit closer to today is that the loser of today, I originally thought that it was losing out for the console games, but the losers of the first 2 games today will actually just start in the losers bracket. Come to this. So the losers of those first couple games will be there waiting for them, more or less, in that loser side of the bracket.
Right. And of course, I mean, with that being the case, that means that they have their second chance, even if today, I mean, even if they don't end up winning, like Kresnik just said, and like you guys have heard, they will have their chance to be able to make their run in the losers bracket. So once again, everybody has 2 chances here. So it's just a matter of who's going to bring their A game, who's going to have the momentum still proceeding through winners bracket, and who's going to have to step things up in that losers bracket.
And also, it's also 4 teams that are qualifying too, so we have a lot of spaces potentially up for contention as we go through, but that's not really the important thing right now. This is the console wars. Yes, this has importance on the bracket moving forward, but we're really here today to see who the best console team is, and I think we have some teams that are up for contention for it for sure. Flashpoint coming in from European PS4, and they're a bunch of veterans on that team, people we've seen for a long time, and they had a kind of contested region, I would say, but I wouldn't be surprised to think a lot of people see them as the favorites in this matchup here.
Neither do I. I mean, they've had an amazing run throughout the console war. I mean, not the console war, excuse me, the console league. I'm confused a little bit, but the console league, I mean, Flashpoint was, I mean, they were sitting pretty. I mean, they qualified. They were at the top. They were doing their thing, and it's a matter of how do these top place teams fare against one another. Legacy comes to mind when I think of Flashpoint, a strong console player.
Yeah, he had that legendary performance forever ago on Makoa. I think some insane Blue would know. I think it was like 36-0 or something along those lines on Makoa forever ago, getting him moved to a main spot. And I think he's had a pretty solid performance all throughout as time has gone on. Flashpoint altogether have been pretty good. To me, they're one of the more stereotypical console teams in the sense of how they draft. On the other side, Fatal Ambition to me always kind of brought out something unique. I would say something we weren't really expecting too much. Flashpoint to me is the team that's going to first pick Victor.
Right, yeah.
Like, almost all the time.
Right.
Fatal Ambition can bring out some stuff that we're not really used to seeing.
Right. I mean, and of course with this, I mean, once again, these are the top teams going against one another. I mean, you have Fatal Ambition, you have that presence of mind, and especially since all these top teams are all going to be clashing with all these different sort of strategies. And like you were saying, Flashpoint, when I think of them, they always got that Victor. They got it on lock. They know their hit scan characters. But Fatal Ambition, they bring out a lot of different stuff. And Ghost is another one of those players. I mean, we've seen him on Victor. We've seen him on these hit scan targets as well. But this is going to be really interesting to see him fight against somebody that tries to fight back against them with, I mean, sort of his own character almost.
Yeah, I think this is Swarmshoe we're seeing right now. I think Ghost's a little bit to the right, but we have Ghost's beautiful face there up on the stat pull up from the side. And again, Fatal Ambition, they were pretty strong in their region. They were 12-0 coming through. Not really too much contention. I think they dropped a map or 2 as time went on, but not a hype unit level of dominance, but still very, very strong dominance over the region. And we got to say, how much is that going to potentially harm them in this, right? How much competition were they practicing against throughout? Were they able to get some time in maybe against Hype Unit and some cross-play scrims?
Right.
Were they playing against PC teams, stuff like that? Hard to say. We'll have to see, honestly. Once we get into the first couple of maps, we'll be able to see how they really stand against this level of competition.
That's 100% true, but of course, I mean, we have to see the map bans and see where these teams don't want to go, what they don't want to deal with. It's going to be Stone Keep, interesting, and Frog Isle. Okay, Fatal Ambition.
I thought you were saying interesting about Frog Isle.
Well, no. Interesting about Stone Keep, Serpent Beach, and Warder's Gate. Now, that's why it's interesting, is because Stone Keep is a staple of the PC League, but in this case, Console Wars, they don't want to deal with this in its very, very first set. We're going to have to see where they will be wanting to go in the very first map, though, at least in Game 1. It's going to be Timber. Man, oh man, this is just bringing out all the stops today, right?
What a way to start the Console Wars.
Oh my goodness.
Right on Timber Mill. There's a lot of things you can play. On Timber Mill, I think some things you can break out. Very strong for flankers, very strong for snipers. Strong backlines are good here, but you can bust out some tanky compositions and just lock down the center of the map. We'll have to see the styles that these teams kind of want to fall back to.
Right. And I mean, this is going to be it, man. I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited for, like, today and the rest of this week, because it's going to be sick, dude. Grover is going to be the first ban. Flashpoint. There's that Talus ban that we see so prominent on these console leagues. And the Victor ban. We were talking about that before, man. Flashpoint like to lock that in. They get rid of the Victor. They've now dashed one of their champs, but of course, you still have plenty of hit scan targets remaining.
Victor's definitely the best one at range, though. That Tyra and the Vivian are still up, but they're just not as effective on Timber Mill. It's so wide. Maybe you can run Tyra if you think they're going to run a point burn strategy, but possibly not. Zero pick and ban rate for Genos, but that's because I believe we are starting fresh on these stats. This is the HRX qualifiers. We're going to be going by that. This is potentially a new meta, depending on how these teams end up clashing here. Potentially Barrack Vivian response from Flashpoint, and I think that would be pretty strong. Having a point tank that can poke back from the point on a map that has such open sight lines like Timber Mill is, I think, really important for keeping your team alive and keeping up that pressure on the objective.
Yeah, you got Genos locked in first, and Flashpoint are hovering the Barrack, hovering the Vivian. No longer a hover, but a lock in. Flashpoint are going to be first picking that Barrack on their side, opening things up as well on the DPS side with their Vivian. You've got your hit scan targets already. And the Atlas, though, once again, power tanks have been left open due to these bans, so we're going to have to see what Fatal Ambition are going to want to take.
Makoa Atlas could be an interesting pick here, but Khan pretty strong also, being able to lock down his side. Khan definitely holds an area a little bit better than Makoa does, so if you want to have that pressure, that lockdown, I think it's the better pick for that sense. We'll see if that's what they go with. Atlas also is basically a tank sniper.
Right.
He has such good range. Fall off on his slug is not really that severe, so you can poke from a pretty good distance with him. Very good on Timber Mill because of that. Also, if someone drops down from the high ground, you can just set them back.
Right.
Just go away. Or someone runs away to the high ground, you set them back and pull them right back down. But Ashe instead would be a very aggressive draft if that's what they want to do. Interested to see what their DPSs are going to be after this. Might be some flanks if they want to kind of keep up that pressure, but
they're hovering back and forth.
Gonna potentially stick with the Khan, and they do. So a little bit more lockdown focus on their draft.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the Atlas as well. And you mentioned one thing, at least one word that stood out to me, and that's who's banned as well, is a sniper. Atlas doesn't really have a lot of fall-off damage. You got rid of Strix. With that ban, does that tell you a little bit of they might want to go with the Kinessa? Would you still pick that against Atlas? I mean, the Victor's gone. There's not really a counter for that Atlas in this case.
The Kinessa would still do fantastic against the Atlas.
Right.
I think Atlas doesn't do fantastic into strong backlines. He can kind of shoulder peek a bit, but if the tanks are applying pressure like a Makoa will be doing into him, it's definitely a little harder. I see what you're getting at, though. Atlas can trade back. If he's unpressured, the Atlas could win that trade. It's about if his cooldowns are being burned early, he might not really be able to poke back as effectively. Fury and Makoa will be an aggressive side of Flashpoint if they do lock it in, and they do, so that's an aggressive ability, but aggressive flexibility in their draft now. Makoa running in with an Inflame and an Ancient Rage is not something you really want to be on the receiving end of.
Yeah, you really, really don't want to be. I mean, you've got Barrack, Makoa, both frontliners. You've got your healer, you've got Furia, you've got your DPS, you've got Vivian. The Willow on Fatal Ambition's side. Now, this could be really, really, I feel like, personally devastating to
I kind of want them to pick Kinessa if they pick this Willow, though.
Really?
I don't know if you want to run Kinessa.
You mean you want Flashpoint to pick it?
I want Fatal to pick Kinessa with the Willow.
With the Willow,
so they deny the counter.
Okay,
right.
That makes sense.
Flashpoint Vivian will chip, but not really do anything else. If Flashpoint get that Kinessa into it, then it's going to be very tough. But Eevee for Ralkion on the gyro for Fatal Ambition, and Cassie's the other pick. Cassie very good into Makoa with that big game, great at breaking Barrack's shields. Really excited to see Cassie Eevee coming out of a console draft. That's what I was saying. You see things that you're not normally expecting. from a console team to pick coming out from Fatal Ambition's side.
Right. You don't expect to see that at all, especially not the Eevee. You got Flashpoint. I mean, they're hovering, or at least thinking, I should say hovering, not hovering it yet, but they're thinking about who they want their last DPS pick to be. And I mean, you see the Eevee on the other side, you see the Cassie, you've got your counters to Makoa, and you've got your shield break potential with Cassie as well. I mean, Flashpoint, I mean, if they follow Fatal Ambition's footsteps with locking in the Eevee, I mean, we could potentially see a Mave. Do you see the possibility here to be able to be brought out if it gets Fatal, or should they try and go for the Kinessa still to try and fight back?
They could play the
Atlas?
Kinessa, but they could have some trouble with Ralkion. I've actually played against Ralkion in pubs on Eevee, and he plays it a little bit defensively. And Buck might be their answer to it instead. We've seen Buck come out a lot as a kind of a counter sniper, counter flanker, being able to just lock down an area, stop them from pushing through a lane, making it just really hard for that other flanker to get anything done. It's so hard to pin down a Buck in the early game, especially harder to break through him.
Well, whose draft do you like more in this? I mean, like coming to this
Fatal Ambition have like the
first
dream PC draft.
Right.
So I want to side with them just because of the picks that they have. But Flashpoint, Makoa, Barrack, and the Buck to slow down the Eevee, that's not bad either.
Well, that's it. That's it, guys, for the draft. Welcome back. And here we are getting ready to go into game one, but we got to throw it down to our casters to take us into it.
Thank you very much, Fawn and Krez. Console Wars Round 1 about to kick off. Fatal Ambition, Flashpoint, Dolson, Blue. Who better to bring in for the Console Wars than the man Blue himself? Drafts all on the board. You pointed out the Grover ban, the Genos first pick. Things looking good for Fatal Ambition.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they talk about Fatal Ambition, they talk about the support scenario for Jumin Gak, who, you know, they say, oh, you just banned Genos and Grover and you take Saris, and you won't have that much other options.
And, you know, I like Grover here on Timbermill. I think a little bit of that extra long-range poke as well certainly come out and be helpful. They pointed out on Desk, and I think I agree, kind of the dream, like, PC composition almost for Fatal Ambition. And I love seeing Ralkion kind of in this meta because he is fully kind of adapted into that Eevee, you know, Mave every once in a while play style. He adds just so much, I think, to his team. You kind of mentioned you stick him out in the hallway because those gyro controls are going to be bumping into everyone on his left and right.
Yeah, I said they should put him in the hallway. That way, best case scenario, whips it through the window and takes out his opponent.
He's going to be bruising shoulders, I think, throughout this week. A couple trades to start this one off. Flashpoint put themselves on the point first, 33% for them. Ghost gets things started for Fatal Ambition here. That Cassie's going to have a lot of health to melt through between a Buck, a Makoa, a Barrack, Vivian as well. So watch out for Flashpoint. If they're able to get this Inflame online, it's going to be moving much quicker in their direction. 90% for them, so Fatal Ambition have a big road to climb here. Maybe a dive coming in. Ralkion on the Eevee looking for just a little bit of poke down so low. Buck jumps in, Ralkion into the ice block, stays alive, blinks in, blinks out. It's one trade for Fatal Ambition, but overtime begins for Flashpoint.
Yeah, some of the champions in this game, you don't really see them during the regular season of the PCL, and I really love it. We have Cassie being played by Ghost. We haven't seen him play anything projectile-based such as Cassie at all during the PCL, so that's refreshing. A little bit of a new look. Fatal Ambition, they're not the heavy favorite coming into this, so they want to shake things up right away, and even Timbermill being map number 1.
That's right, and they get a couple trades here and there, but Flashpoint throughout this mid-fight, I would say largely in control, and most of the trades for the red side. They grab point number 1 off to a hot start here on Timbermill.
Yeah.
They got a 5 streak burning away for their Furious Storm Avatar up to 3-0-2 to start this one off. There were a couple of kills. Like I mentioned, there were a few kills, the damage here and there. Look at that, though. Ralkion down at the bottom, only above Genos. They'll need a little bit more out of that Eevee to get something going for him.
Look who's on top. It's the man, the Rick.
That's right.
The legacy. You know what he told me in the hotel the other night was, I was in his room, and 2 of his players were in the beds, and he was sleeping on the couch. I said, why are you sleeping on the couch? He said, the last time I slept on a couch, we won a LAN.
Well, they're starting off well here. Apparently the couch is working wonders for him. I think that hurts me more than anything else, but double from Prosper, double from Skeppy. Things moving quick here for Flashpoint. Fatal Ambition. Spawns are back, spawns are out. Looks like it's going to be point number 2. About 3 minutes off to a fast start here. Onishi kind of drops in there at the last moment. Prosper Logic laughing, hands up to the side. You ban out Victor, he's still got Vivian in his back pocket.
Yeah, Prosper and Skeppy, two of the most dynamic DPS players, and when you combine them together, you know them, you know Prosper, you think of Victor. When you think of Skeppy, you think of Victor.
Yeah.
And not only that, they can both play blasters. We've seen them play BK or Bomb King at numerous lands, let alone during the season. We've seen them, we've seen them both play Willow.
You're not wrong. I think between like the Willow, I know Leon is kind of a pick that bounces back and forth between the two of them. When did they add him? They added Skeppy. Was that at the beginning of this split? Maybe the end of last? I'm trying to remember when they added Skeppy in.
Week 5 of Phase 1.
Right. Okay. So it was way earlier this year, but I remember a big dynamic swap. That's right. It was a big dynamic swap for them. I mean, it's a net increase. Skeppy on the buck this time around. I think himself a 7 streak.
I think the only thing that they don't play the same of is Grok and Pip. If we get a Pip, it goes to Skep, and the Grok will go to Prosper.
It'll happen at some point this week. We'll see a Pip Grok. I'm confident. Not today though, or not on this map at least. Prosper Logic on this Vivian, dodging out through time and space. Thought was there, no connection though. Fatal Ambition are going to have fast cap on their side for this mid-fight. Good Void Grip's going to pick up Good Lad just inside the shield. OS Ghost is going to move his way in. Swarmshe is going to grab the kill. 1 down, 2 now for Flashpoint in a much better fight this time around from Fatal Ambition. They're in control of this mid.
Yeah, this was a perfect example of focusing out the problem from round 1, which was the Makoa.
Yeah.
Good Lad figured, Genos has more maneuverability than me. I'm not going to go after him. So instead, he's been focusing out the other targets with his Dredge Anchor. He's been going after Ghost on the Cassie. He's been going after Raukion, and he's been snagging him. So this time, Swarmshe and Ghost, they kind of double team on Makoa, take care of him. And here we go again with Raukion trying to get in on the action.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how Flashpoint's defense holds up here. It was all Flashpoint all day throughout the first couple of points. Now Fatal Ambition with a little momentum on their side. Looks like Storm Avatar still undying in this game. Something to keep your eyes on. Prosper Logic starts off the defense well. In Flame for Flashpoint, going to be burning away here. This is a good start to fully push back Fatal Ambition. Triple kill for the Vivian. And the Genos able just to escape, but not if Prosper Logic has anything to say about it. 4 total. Minute 45 seconds left.
How did Prosper even get there?
I'm not sure.
He was in their backline while the fight was happening on the payload or near it by the tree. And then all of a sudden there's a triple kill in the backline from a Vivian. Vivian can't jump, can't fly, can't soar, can't anything. He has to walk back there.
Beats me, man. I mean, when you get those Sentinels out, it's something else. You can only withstand that for just ever so long. And Prosper Logic makes him pay. He moves up to 9-2 and 5. Was 5-2 and 5 prior to that good defensive stand. Timbermill is a tough map where you get really staggered out on the offensive push. Very long fight. They're almost back. Just trying to fight for the mid fight one more time. Fight for that point, but plenty of ground to cover there for them.
Yeah, a lot of the maps are sort of symmetrical. You have 3 lanes or maybe 2 and then like a kind of a 3rd lane.
Right.
With Timbermill, there's just so many areas that don't fit that bill.
Right.
And there's so much high ground. Then there's different levels of high ground. And then there's rooms. And there's just so many ways and different areas you need to control.
And Flashpoint have done a good job of that. They're all 4 up on the high ground, leaving, I believe that's just Skeppy down low. So Fatal Ambition got a world of hurt waiting for them if they miss position just for a moment here. At about, now you're getting kind of into that point, like 15 seconds left. This is a long enough map that if Flashpoint are able to grab a few kills here, starting off with a nice double kill from Legacy. That's the Cassie and the Genos, both gone, still alive. Prosper Logic firing away as well. All out of position. Point being,
he's in the back line again.
Fatal Ambition, I don't think they have much of a shot at this one. Once the cooldowns are down from Swarmshe, a successful defense from Flashpoint puts them 1 point away from grabbing map number 1.
Well, they will have some good ultimates going into the next round. They'll have Scout so that they, kind of can figure out where Flashpoint is trying to set up, where they're trying to go into the next round. That have through time and space as well.
Right.
Maybe, someone goes through the hallways to get on the high ground, try and catch them off. So they do have the ultimates.
They won the last mid fight. I mean, Fatal Ambition, they locked it down last time. You and I have been laughing. Prosper Logic in these last couple of fights just somehow ends up behind the entire Fatal Ambition team. 10-2 and 11. Big 11 streak there for him.
With her Sentinels up,
Yeah.
She's pretty loud. You
Right,
can't
you'd
miss
think.
that.
You'd think, but
Even when she walks and doesn't shoot, her gun just ching, ching, ching.
right, you hear it. You don't have anything to deal with it, I guess, right now. They're going to need to, with maybe one last chance at this one. 8:45 on the overall game timer. Prosper positioning himself to the side. Skeppy jumps out through time and space. No good. But OS Ghost finds the first kill.
What's very interesting is that Fatal Ambition only has one wrecker right now. You're facing a
Yeah.
Barrack, a Makoa, and then you have Vivian as well. Furia can distribute shields if she has it in her loadout. We haven't taken a look at that just yet, but if Storm has shields on his heels,
Right.
then that's 4 ways they're shielding. Let's see if he does have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Light of Dawn 5. Yeah, so you're running that
Light
at
of Dawn
max.
5.
So he's running it at max, and you pointed out they only have one wrecker, and they can't burn through it here. Big double kill from that Furia. Prosper Logic still burning away at 14. They're going to zone out. They're going to grab the win in game number 1. Fatal Ambition, they hung around for an extra point, one extra mid-fight. Too much offensive pressure there. Flashpoint all smiles, feeling good after game 1. What do you look for? I mean, your Fatal Ambition, where do things go wrong there? Do you misprioritize your items, maybe?
Wrecker.
Yeah, I guess.
They had one wrecker. I think it was level 2 as well. And you're going
especially with a Cassie on your team. I mean, that's got to be like
4 champions with big shields. 4 champions with big shields. You only have
Yeah.
one wrecker. I think it was level 2 as well. And that's not good. Especially when players come to me all the time and say, wrecker's too strong. Wrecker needs
Yeah.
a nerf. There's 4
Buy it.
shields on the other team.
You
And then
gotta buy
we looked at Storm's loadout. Level 5 Light of Dawn. He's putting out 250 health shields. I mean, that's
Right.
not a lot. But for 2 seconds, 250, you're
Right.
getting a heal and a shield. There you go.
And fighting against, I think, a Buck, that kind of makes you question how you prioritize. Cauterize so important going up against a Buck, but shielding there as well. Smart play from Flashpoint. They grab themselves. Win number 1. See if Fatal Ambition can bounce back right after this.
Two strikes and you're out, boy. I can't deny it's what's on the line. I'm kicking you out. I won't let you hurt me as you hurt me before. Nothing you can say or do can heal the pain in my soul. I never really said it out loud. Don't think we'll ever sort it out. I never really said it I'm kicking you out.
Welcome back, guys. Flashpoint, we're able to take the first game and let alone, with a bug pick. We've seen it quite a bit, but at the same time, we haven't seen that map rarely at all. You get rid of Stone, keep Kresnik, but you pick Timber Mill in its place. Flashpoint were able to take a win on that.
Yeah, and I think the Buck pick did turn out pretty well for them.
Agreed.
Able to keep things kind of slowed down. Railcan was definitely having a tough time staying alive. I think that was the biggest thing. A lot of angles were just being controlled by the draft that Flashpoint ended up with. Made it very tough for the Eevee to get away with some stuff. There was some time where he was poking from far away, but damage-wise, I think he ended up below Storm Avatar on the other team. Just really tough to be able to confirm much of anything on that.
Right. It's very, very interesting because you brought up the fact that Railcan likes to play sort of like this very interesting play style where it's like
The
he's sort of
slower
like
one.
the slower play style where it's sort of like he's playing like a backline Eevee. Like he'll watch these angles and he'll actually keep continually firing.
That's what happened in the one casual.
Right. Well, okay, but
I
still.
did mention it. It was a style I hadn't really seen before, and I don't think it worked out too effectively here. I got to say that Vivian definitely tough to control. From Fatal Ambition on the other, from Fatal Ambition on the other side. I said Fetal because they DM'd me, and that's what they called themselves in the DM. One of the players actually sent me that. But I think Storm Avatar and Prosper Logic were the 2 highlight players for me. Storm Avatar specifically getting a lot of confirms here, a lot of clean up damage across the board, and keeping his team alive. He didn't die for a really long time, but output so much healing for his team. very, very tough for them to dive anybody going through the burst heals of a Furia.
Yeah, I mean, this was just it. I mean, you have the console players that like to prioritize a lot of hit scan, and Furia can sort of double as that just for a little bit. I mean, she can do a very, very sneaky amount of damage. I mean, you see it here on Storm Avatar. Not only was he able to put out the healing, but he was able to play aggressive, peel for those people. Look at kills like that, where he gets first blood on the Ralkion. I mean, you have your openings being provided by him, even if it is just not much, even if it is just last hits. Having those kills secured, that's extremely important.
Yeah, for sure, and especially when you can finally 7K strat. Interesting. Oh, well, hopefully they can keep pulling that sign out for their sake. If they can keep reusing that sign, hopefully it's not a one-time thing. But I think they actually managed to win on Fatal Ambition's map pick, so they can move forward from there. I always say this, that winning on someone else's map pick and then immediately going to your own is the best feeling in the world.
Right.
It's just like all the luxury. You're being like fed grapes on a couch, just like, oh yes, I have one. Oh yes, I would love the next map. Thank you so much, and see where they decide to go.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm excited to see where they're going to decide to go as well. I mean, you have a first pick like Timber Mill. On top of that, you get rid of Stone. Like,
I wouldn't be shocked to see them bring it back to a standard.
Right, yeah.
I would be shocked to see like a Bright or a Jag, honestly, coming out from that.
Right, exactly. I mean, we've seen that before too on console. I mean, they're pretty staple maps, and I mean, having the Bright Marsh, having the Jag, I mean, that's all speculation. It's only a matter of whether we can actually see if that's where they're going to be able to go in Game 2. But will it be? It will be. It will be Bright Marsh. It will be one of the two, like we just mentioned.
After winning a map that I think solidly going to Bright is a smart idea. It's a map everybody knows, but it's a map that can snowball. So if you think you have the momentum, you can use it to really carry that forward, not give them a chance to fight back. I think is pretty important for a team that wants to really keep swinging the set in their favor. Wouldn't be shocked to see the bans remaining somewhat similar, but Willow is going to actually be the first one taken out by Flashpoint. Okay,
interesting. Very, very interesting that, I mean, not as interesting that you've gotten rid of the Willow. I mean, you've gotten rid of Makoa as well. This time you're taking away one of the power tanks. You don't want them to have that, which means that they're going to respond with a Genos ban. Would you really want to give Flashpoint the outs? I mean, would you not want to respond with that? Or the Victor, I suppose, yeah. We talked about it earlier before. Yep. It is a higher priority. Flashpoint love this character. They love having this character. So even if Fatal respond with an Atlas, they're still sort of on the back foot despite that.
I think the Atlas can be influential. It wasn't as good for them last game, but that I think was just on in the back of that Makoa being super, super impactful. And they're actually going to let it go even below that.
Okay.
Vivian Grover coming in instead. They want an assault rifle character to answer, even though Tyra is actually still up. And then grabbing a healer that I think is pretty high priority in console was banned last map to keep the axes and AoE healing out of the hands of either team. But now it's back on Bright Marsh, a map where you can heal through those walls and make it very hard to pin down any targets if they're all constantly getting that AoE sustain.
Right. And I mean, we're going to see if really Flashpoint are going to respond in kind with the Atlas. They are going to respond with that. They are hovering it. Seems like Prosper's pretty happy about that one. I mean, Khan as well is going to be hovered. He's picked it. The Atlas is still being hovered, but I can't imagine they will let him go any lower than that. They will not, and they will lock in the only power tank available in this game for them on Flashpoint side.
Pretty good picks for them for sure. Barrack going on Fatal Ambition side potentially is also a good response. They don't have a point tank, so you grab the best one that's left. I'm actually wondering, can they draft with mouse and keyboard? I know they have to play with the controllers for the console wars, but like, does that mean they also have to go through the menus on the mouse and on the controller with the mouse and keyboard right in front of them? I don't know. Maybe.
Questions?
They probably have to. It probably makes it easier to admin, honestly, if they don't even have the mouse and keyboard there.
Okay, this is interesting.
Barrack and Nara, double point tank for Fatal Ambition. They want to play a little bit slow. That's what that tells me. That is not a fast-moving tank composition. Going to kind of lock things down, keep it slow. And Flashpoint, a couple responses you could do to this. You could just kind of run like triple tank aggression, just walk through them, and it might be what they do. I'd probably rather go Ruckus over Nando, but you can't really counter the Immortal. You have to just play around it. You can't really just burst through a Immortal like you can the Ruckus Hexafire.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the Vivian, they've got the Grover, Barrack, and Nara on Fatal Ambition side, and now it's a matter of who they want to close out with this second DPS. If they're playing things a little bit slower, I could imagine they could possibly run a double backline. I mean, I feel like that's possible. I mean, you have 3 tanks. You have the ability to be able to run or pick that Cassie. Heck yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. You have that shield break potential. You have the big game as well. And that's going to be really, really strong into Flashpoint's composition. But I'm a little bit worried about Fatal's Ambition's team comp. And the only reason why I say that is because Grover can heal through walls. But I want to know what you think about this, Kresnik. You've got Barrack and Nara, you've got Grover. The longer game goes on, the harder it is for Grover to actually heal. Is it worth playing slow despite the first two, because they picked Barrack and Nara in response to the Khan Atlas. Is it worth playing slow?
I think you just have to.
You have to? Okay.
You want to play slow, right? Your tanks are Barrack and Nara. What's your other option?
Right, exactly.
You really can't be going in like that. You kind of have to play off of
Lex?
your poke. Potentially, Lex could be the answer
No
instead of
one
the
is
Cassie.
against the law.
I was actually going to say I might want to see a Drogo. I know it's against Victor, but this map doesn't really have that big of sightlines. You can totally play a Drogue into a Victor, I think, on this map. But Lex going to be the pick instead. The Law able to break through some shields. That might be what they want. That burst, that execute potential. They were actually, I saw them, Fatal Ambition, playing some 1v1s with Lex.
Okay.
Warming up yesterday. That's how I saw Ralkion play for the first time. So
Okay.
we'll have to see if the Lex does pay off for them. That burst damage, it could be pretty strong against the triple tank, but I'm afraid he could get
be.
overrun. The tanks are going to have a really tough job kind of locking down the space to not let them get onto the Lex on
Right.
Fatal Ambition's side.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a lot of control that Flashpoint have right now. I mean, they can lock down a lot of different sidelines just purely off of Divider, you know? And I mean, Fernando Shield is also pretty big as well. I mean, he can close off a lot of those rooms, but once again, this is only on paper, guys. We'll have to see how it does in action in Game 2 on Bright Marsh.
Well, I guess if you have a problem with shield break in game 1, you just pick yourself a Lex and use the ultimate every single time to break the shields. Flashpoint, though, they're going to bring themselves a triple tank composition here. You're presuming it'll be Skeppy on the Atlas.
Skeppy on the Khan.
On the Khan, rather. I guess that's close enough to a Victor, playstyle-wise, maybe, that there's some crossover there, leaving Prosper Logic onto the Victor. Do you like the triple tank comp here going into Bright Marsh?
Not necessarily the idea of triple tank. It is good on Bright Marsh, but I like the way they drafted it. You know, they banned Willow.
Yeah.
And then they took 2 off tanks right away, the best 2 off tanks most likely on the board, as most people would argue. And then that leaves Fernando, Anara, and Barrack, and you just take the third main tank that isn't picked.
I guess that makes sense for them, and if they're playing half as well as they did in game number 1, things could be looking good for them here. Fatal Ambition, pretty good draft by all measures on their side as well. Looking for a little bit more out of that Grover this time around. They're going to get themselves the Vivian as well. I'm curious, when we jump back into game, I want to look at Storm Avatar's loadout one more time, see if he's running some more of that shielding, because that's not something you see super often, is the 5 points in that shielding card.
No, it isn't.
Every once in a while, you'll see some points in it, get the nice shield as well. But we look back at the last game, maybe misprioritization of Wrecker, whatever it may be. But we'll have to look at his loadout here, see if he's running something similar. It is Light of Dawn 5 one more time.
You saw the 7K strat, and we were like, what is he talking about? I think it's for Furious shielding, I guess.
I mean, all right, so it's a 250 health shield.
For 2 seconds.
Times 7. I'm not doing that. I can barely do what game number we're on. I'm not going to try to.
It's a quarter. It's a
quarter.
quarter.
That's right. So 28. You need 28 full shields burned to get to 7.
Yeah.
That's why you're here. You're helping the math get easier.
Quick maths.
Quick maths, quick kills for Flashpoint as well. Fatal Ambition, they were on the point. Not for long, though, as the rest of Flashpoint stormed the gates. And Prosper Logic, one more time. To be fair, the rest of Fatal Ambition is dead. But around the backside he goes. Sprays the ground, gets the kills. Now they're zoning out with 42% on the point.
So that right there is Atlas's, his shield.
Right.
Quote, unquote. You can't break that with Lex. You can't break
yeah,
that
that's
with Wrecker.
true. You can't.
So
you break it with cooldown timers, I guess. That's all you got.
Or you got to walk through it. You got to walk through it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's usually somebody waiting for you on the other side.
It's like the hippie beads in doorways. You don't want to walk through it, but you gotta.
You have to at some point, and Fatal Ambition weren't able to. And point number 1 on the board for FP. They're going to keep things rolling here. Every once in a while on Bright Marsh, you'll see kind of this fight back in on the back end of the point being captured and stagger out left and right. But this is hearkening back to the first couple of points on Timber Mill, where Flashpoint just kind of steamrolled Fatal Ambition. Right back to the top of the damage charts goes Prosper Logic at 402. Flashpoint are not slowing down.
Prosper ate some G Fuel for cereal, I guess.
That's right.
I've never seen him play this aggressive so fast in a set. I mean, game 1, he's in the back line most of the time. Now here he is again. He's in front of his tanks most of the time. I think this is the only time he's behind Fernando.
He's going to be able to open the doors with a big barrage. Grabs the kill on a Swarmshi as well. 0 across the boards, except for Swarmshi, who has 1 kill for them. Payload moving closer. The zone is in. Onishi, a little bit far forward. Prosper Logic is able to grab that kill. And 3 minutes into this game, Flashpoint grabbed their second point, and they are feeling good. They don't show any signs of slowing down.
Prosper is
It's on another level, man.
37K damage already. He's lighting it up. I mean, look at this. He's in the back line again. He's not letting them escape to their own side
Right.
of the map. He is gatekeeping their side of the map by himself. Now his front lines get up there with him. But
That's like the first time you see it happen in the game where
He
most
wants
of
this.
The rest of the time it's the Atlas, it's the Khan, somebody else in front of him. But it's so interesting because, you know, we see kind of these dominant teams in each of the regions. So now we're seeing all of them come together, and Flashpoint's still this dominant looking over Fatal Ambition. Off to a great start on Brightmarsh, just cresting the 4-minute mark in this game. Prosper Logic doing a good job of keeping up with that 10K damage a minute as he's just gone over 40,000. You'll need a better look here if you're Fatal Ambition. They're going to drop the Dome Shield. Kind of wears out. Flashpoint said, okay, we're just going to back off while that Dome Shield burns away. Overpower now onto Ghost. It's going to get him off of the map. First kill now for Skeppy. Correctly predicted on that Khan. Now he's free and clear. He's in the back line. Whirlwind isn't going to do too much, and Flame for Flashpoint as well comes out. This is a good-looking fight, and point 3 could be coming up.
that was a beautiful stun from this beam of Storm on the Furia. They're just controlling this room.
Yeah.
Even if there's more members of Fatal Ambition in there, Flashpoint somehow can control the outside, therefore controlling the inside.
Yeah, they're doing this weird, like, roundabout. Like, we'll send one person here, and then everyone else wraps around.
If you stay outside, they gatekeep you from getting in. If
Right.
you stay inside, they gatekeep you from getting outside. And Prosper is just taking off in the damage charts. He's almost double what the Vivian has right
That's
now.
right.
They do have 2 wreckers for Fatal Ambition this time.
A little bit of a swap there for them, but unfortunately, it's more the victor that you have to worry about here. Prosper Logic was able to turn that one around solo. I don't know what I would have done, but Realkion's at least able to get the kill, trades himself out. And really the first kind of sign of life from Fatal Ambition here on this defense. They're able to successfully trade out 2 for 1. Swarm, she hides behind the wall. Flashpoint are able to just kind of delay this, though. I mean, we've gassed up Prosper Logic for good reason. You know, he's 10K damage plus a minute. But look at Skeppy and look at Goodlad. The offensive presence they're bringing kind of in this triple tank composition can't be understated either.
Yeah, Goodlad is just, he can play, I mean, through the course of history,
Yeah.
we've seen Goodlad play damage. We've seen him play front lines, main, off. I mean, we've pretty much seen him play everything except for support. We did see him play Grok once.
We did see that. The true flex
Yeah.
in Goodlad. And making this Atlas look good here. Skeppy, the last remaining undying player for Flashpoint. 17 burning away for him into the battle shout. Swarm, she just delays a little bit on this payload, and that's all Fatal Ambition can hope for at this point, is just a delay, because at 3-0, fully spawning out here, Ghost is going to have the Sentinels. That could be a big measuring tool here up on the high ground just to try to push back Flashpoint. He's going to drop down, both still burning away. Stun catches out a couple from Storm Avatar into the Immortal. Seismic Crash is going to drop down as well. Prosper Logic grabs the first kill with that barrage. Ghost is able to trade out as well, but Goodlad now fully around the backline of Fatal Ambition is keeping Flashpoint moving forward, and that might just be it. A double kill from the Atlas. Looks like it's going to be enough to zone out, stall out. Fatal Ambition in under 7 minutes are going to get swept out of Brightmarsh.
Well, Fatal Ambition did do a good thing there
Sure.
at the end. It wasn't perfect, but they have a comp with Barrick and Anara. They're on Brightmarsh. The map is not very wide, so you can essentially play one side of the maps.
Sure.
Stick those 2 main tanks together and kind of group up. You have the Grover as well, and you have a Vivian. So, you know, if Prosper and a triple tank comp is pushing into you, you can kind of group up and you can control the area. You have a lot of CC. You have Barrick who can control doorways. You can shut down doorways with Barrick. And you have a Nara who can do the same with Water's Field, her wall as well. Vivian can just pound damage in there, but
Quick thoughts on the Lex. They pivoted to the Lex. You like it, you don't like it. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20 for us. Do you like where the thought was, though, going into that game?
he brought out the law at the end during that fight that I was talking about, and it didn't kill anyone.
Right.
But I like Lex
Ish.
on a
Maybe
on a
creative,
bigger
but
map.
Sure. Maybe creative. Didn't quite hit its mark. Game 2 still the way of Flashpoint. 1 win away now from moving on to the Console Wars Finals. Big things in the works for Flashpoint. Game 3 right after this.
Flashpoint showing that they are, I mean, there's a reason that they were the top in their region, already taking it 2-0 against Fatal Ambition and a quick 4-0 at that. I mean, their dominance throughout that Bright Marsh game was so prevalent, and we pretty much boiled it down to one word, Kresnik, and that was control. Fatal Ambition could not find any control throughout that game.
And I think it was a little bit of stacking too on one side. Honestly, they were just not. They were stacking a little bit too much, letting the Atlas just walk around on the side. It was so hard for them to stop him. Multiple times we were watching a fight and we're like, all right, I think Fatal's doing okay here. And then we hard cut to the Atlas, just running over them, unstopped, walking at the Grover, walking at the Lex. No real way to stop him there. But on the back of that triple tank, it was all the damage coming out from Prosper Logic on that Victor.
Yeah, I mean, he was just positioned so well throughout that game. I mean, we were talking about it beforehand, or at least in the back with production. Literally, I mean, you see it right there, 77,000 damage before 3 minutes. Prosper had 2 barrages up already. He used the one shell, then he canceled it, then he got it right back up, used it again. I mean, that's the dominance that Flashpoint have on this Victor. That is why they pick him so well, because Prosper can do things like this and go 11-1 at it.
I want to point out also the stat for it is gone because we've moved on to the KDAs, but he had only taken 18,000 damage. That's how uncontested he was. That's actually a huge deal. Always in a place where they just couldn't walk at him. Tough on the other side of the board. That static tank composition really couldn't deal with them for sure. But Prosper 11-1, absolutely almost impossible for them to deal with. Maybe would have had more deaths if he didn't take so little damage. But how do you break through 3 tanks in his way?
I mean, this is it. I mean, you guys see it right here in the replay. You see him rotating around, staying right there. I mean, his team's able to battle shot him back up to health. I mean, back up to where he would have died. But he's just positioned so well.
That was a 1/6 of all the damage he took that entire game.
Yeah.
That one Inara push that just went onto him. I want you to know that. That only happened 5 more times the whole game. That's how little he was pressured that whole time. And you can see Good Lad cleaning up on those kills on the Atlas too. Again, that Atlas also uncontested. How do you have to hide from the Victor? Everyone goes into one corner, gives up all this ground that the Victor and the Atlas just take.
Yeah, I mean, that was literally it. I mean, that was literally the story. That replay right there pretty much described how most of that entire game went when Prosper was actually just pumping out all that damage. When he wasn't actually able to finish that off, you just see Good Lad on the Atlas. I mean, he was uncontested too. Shout-outs to him as well. I mean, being able to go around those flanks and pick off a lot of people, because there would be a lot of times we were watching, we're like, oh, Atlas is just back there again.
Yeah, we say flanks, but he was kind of just running it down mid, and they just weren't there. They weren't able to really stop him. But Fatal Ambition, now we're back to loser's pick. They're going to have to find a map that they want to go to maybe flip the momentum of this set.
And it's going to be Jag Falls. I mean, we're going to play 2 close together maps back to back. And Jag Falls, I mean, this could be it. This is 100%. It could either go their way and there in terms of Fatal Ambition, or it could still be in Flashpoint's favor. I mean, it is a best of 5, so if Flashpoint end up winning this, they take the set. I mean, that would be a 3-0 against Fatal Ambition, but this is Fatal Ambition's chance to wake up, pick the Jaguar Falls, and try and turn things around since it's so close together. There's so many fights that break out.
Jag to me is definitely a skill check.
100%.
For what kind of map you want to do.
100%.
This to me this ban so far, maybe they want to first pick that Victor and just get it out of Flashpoint's hands. We'll see what Flashpoint ban. Could it be Victor? Could it be Genos? A couple things still potentially up there. Flashpoint clearly value that Victor very highly. With Vivian off the table, they might want to get rid of it just to deny that. But this is not a bad map for Tyra either. Tyra having that burn monster, point control potential, still doing pretty good with the crossfire at close range. Fatal Ambition, first pick, a lot of things open. Makoa, Atlas, Victor, Genos. Plenty of things they could potentially want. Whatever they pick is going to kind of determine the direction of the rest of their draft.
Yeah, I mean, and they are taking their time thinking about it too. I mean, they are just trying to come at this from all different angles, all different possibilities. What can they take here that will make the most sense? Do you take that Victor away from Flashpoint? Do you try and deny it from them? Even though you mentioned Tyra, Tyra is a very, very good pick. But I mean, we saw what Prosper can do on it, and I don't think that this would be a bad pick to go on Jaguar Falls either. Do you try and take that away from him, or do you lock the McCall like like Fatal Ambition seem to be doing?
Makoa is an excellent pick, and it's so hard for me to side against him because a Makoa that hits every hook is almost unbeatable.
Right.
You have to destroy the rest of his team so hard. There was no way they would have won with anything. You know, that's kind of how one-sided the game has to be for a Makoa to not be able to pull off what he wants to. Flashpoint now have that Victor open. They're probably going to get Atlas Victor. My guess is Genos is still up, so they could go for that, but this is Flashpoint, guys.
Yeah.
You know what they're going to pick.
Atlas Victor.
We don't even need to be here.
Yeah.
We could come and pick 3, and then it would be the same story
thing.
every time.
Oh man, I mean, you got Atlas first pick, you
Champions
got
are
Victor
made
second
by the
pick.
paths
I wasn't
they
even going to say
choose,
they're hovering. Maybe
not
they
the
might go.
powers
No,
they were
like you
graced
said,
with.
Chris. Like we know what they're going to go. It's Atlas. It's Victor. Tried and true right there. Why not try and deny them that? Is Makoa like? Because the thing is that
They must have a clear plan.
right. Okay.
You bring war to
That's what I was thinking.
I will trust
I
them on
bring
that because it's like
destruction to yours.
you give them the Alice the Victor again. I mean, even if you would have taken the Victor away from them, I mean, we've seen Alice Makoa together, but it hasn't done a lot. I mean, even on PC, even on console, it's been rough for Alice and Makoa to try and find that synergy together. Hasn't been working out for them, so they could have forced them to do that. Oh my goodness, dude! You got double backline too. You got Victor. You got Tyra into Makoa, Genos, Barrick. Oh my gosh, dude! I don't know.
Really good draft by Flashpoint.
Yeah,
and are
I
unwanted,
am just-
stranger.
Fatal Ambition have some options still, though. They can even bust out
The
the
gods
Sky
are
here
watching.
against the
Our
Atlas.
blood
Might not
is
even be that
rushing.
bad, although it's
And
going
the
to struggle a
hunt
lot into the. Never
is
mind.
on.
Tyra Mark.
Oh right, yeah.
My
Sorry, I
brain-
forgot
my-
about that.
My brain is smooth. But they actually could still do it and play it kind of backliney. Not the stealth really doesn't matter the way you're supposed to be playing it, but Moji could be coming out here in response. We know how good Moji is
Right.
on this map. Very, very high win rate. Rakata's gameplay on Moji notwithstanding, could be potential to kind of control a lot of room here. So probably want a backline too on top of that. A couple of things still potentially open. Not really too much hit scan wise though. I guess they could still go Leon, get that burst trade to try to win that at range, but still nothing hovered. Got plenty of time to think about it though.
Yeah, the reason why I'm laughing is because yesterday when a lot of these console players came into the studio, I've never seen them before, so I didn't know what they were. Ghost walks up to me and he goes, "Yo, what's up, Fawn? How you doing?" I'm like, "What's up? What's going on?" Like he's like, "I'm Ghost." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "The Moji player." I'm like, "Oh, right." Like that's how that's exactly how that conversation went yesterday. Which I didn't know who he was with. Didn't know who he was with Ghost. But I mean, this is a tried and true for him. I mean, we've seen it a lot on this Jaguar Falls, and literally, this is it. I mean, you pick Moji. Ghost has gone back to that time and time again. I say all that because I mean, this is his character. We've seen this a lot on Jag from him.
We have, but I don't know if this is going to be enough to burst through the other side. Eevee Moji, not a lot of consistent damage. Every single character on their team has a projectile they have to connect, other than Genos. Has a projectile they have to connect to do their damage. Makoa, Barrick, Eevee. Yes, Moji has the spray, but your spray is not really doing anything if you're not connecting the projectile that goes with it.
Right.
Flashpoint have Victor Tyra, two of the easiest to confirm damages in the game. Atlas, he's also fairly easy to confirm, especially at medium range where he's comfortable. And Inara doesn't really need to be confirming damage. She just needs to be capping the point. So I think Flashpoint have a much easier draft to execute with. With the way this has been going, I can't imagine siding any way other with Flashpoint.
Neither can I. I mean, it's as much as I love Moji.
I was going to say, I'm so sorry to tear you away
Yeah,
from
right.
Moji.
No. Like as much as I love her, I mean, this is a pretty deciding draft. At least that's what it seems like for Flashpoint already. You got a double backline. You got yourselves a game 3, but we'll have to see who comes out on top in the game 3.
Backs against the wall for Fatal Ambition. Have to get a win here and then do it 2 more times in order to move themselves to the Console Wars Finals. If Flashpoint look half as good as they did on Brightmarsh, which was somehow better than they looked on Timbermill, I don't know, man. Fatal Ambition, they're trying. I mean, you look at their draft. Genos, Barrick, Makoa, throwing Eevee and Emoji in there for some creativity. I don't mind it. I mean, I think that's an okay draft, but Flashpoint just, the power picks, the Victor, the Tyra, they have everything working for them, and they might just run away with this one.
All right, so here's an interesting stat for you.
Yeah, tell me.
Moji has lost one single game in PCL over the entire 2019 and 2018.
How many times was she picked once or something like
No, over 50.
Oh, okay. She
I'm
only
just
lost
kidding. Over 20. Over 20.
Even still, so she was picked 20 plus times and only lost once.
Yes.
Does that change here? Do you think that second loss on the board?
I don't know. This is one of the better Moji players, and
Yeah,
he
I'll take it.
Plays it, practices. The thing with Moji is that Moji has a very high burst potential. You just have to know how to use it.
Sure.
You see a lot of people that kind of spam both.
Right.
You
You
know,
gotta execute those marks at the right time, get into a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah. You spam Dragon Turtle 1 and Dragon Turtle 2. No. You got you see the one that breathes. You go like this. You know,
Right.
Stack your little magic marks, and then you hit them with the little
Once
spitball.
that star is nice and full, then you execute it.
Yeah,
I
you hit
get
them with
it.
the spitball.
Unfortunately, that's not enough damage to break through Flashpoint right now. They're already at 99%. First blood minute and a half into this game, Legacy grabs it onto Onishi, and that's the front line from Fatal Ambition that really would have needed to contest. Ralkion back on the Eevee here on Jag Falls. If Fatal Ambition's able to grab anything, it's just a little bit extra. Big double kill, though, from Storm, pivoting to the Grover for the first time in this set. Flashpoint right off the board, 3 big kills.
I don't know if you knew this also, but Moji's got a big old head.
She does.
So when you have Victor and Tyra on the other side, you can just, I call it hitting the slots.
Right.
Because you just ding, 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 ding.
Can you headshot the dragons? Would that be too broken if you could?
It would be broken because there's 3 headshot markers.
Oh, the snack time right into the stasis field there. Good lad just steps back and escapes death only for a couple moments. This Ghost is able to grab the kill nonetheless. Strongest looking defense, I think, throughout the entire set for Fatal Ambition here.
And Victor's not on top of the damage charts. It's the Moji.
That's right. The good cooldown, the good mark.
We had a whole discussion about magic before today started. Now the magic is happening with the Moji.
That's right. Moji and Eevee both on top, but Skeppy throws out the crossfire and lets Ghost weaves a shot through there. Catches out Skeppy. Grab a double kill for himself. The Moji starting to heat up a little bit here on this defense, and that's what Fatal Ambition need. They might just need one guy. In this case, it's Ghost to really start to run away with this one.
This is a good stagger right here. But not only that, Ghost was, his back was against the edge of the map, so it wasn't against the wall.
Sure.
But he had 3 members from Flashpoint in front of him, and he was able to get out of that. He had a couple heals coming through, but not as much as he could because Grover didn't want to get too close, and he was able to survive that. Magic barrier came out. That, if you shoot that, stacks the star full.
That's right.
You don't even have to breathe. You could just spit.
And a lot of people love that about Moji. I mean, there's a little bit of self-sustain as well on top of it. Pair that with a Genos, and you got a whole lot of damage, a whole lot of sustain.
Yeah, I want to take it. There we go, right there.
A little extra health, magic barrier heals, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, lifesteal right there. Great or good.
Running at 5 too. I mean, a lot of the kind of self-sustaining health stacks there.
So you have to have the maximum number of magic marks, which happens when you spit on them,
right?
Or you, or breathe on them. Sorry, that's the breathing one.
Right. That's the.
Or when you hit that magic barrier, which is essentially a shield, or her shield, then you're able to get a full magic mark onto someone.
Yeah, you have to watch out for those cooldowns. Play around them a little bit. Flashpoint, though, despite kind of the onslaught of Ghost here, are able to break through this front line. They drop down the seismic crash. Ralkion's the last man alive. Back in the ice block. Onishi is going to be able to get in through the rocket boots. Back behind his shield, though. Skeppy burns him down. Flashpoint 4.5 minutes into this game. After a good-looking start to that defense, just kind of crumbles there at the last moment for Fatal Ambition.
All right, so for games 1, 2, and now 3, Flashpoint's gone up 2-0 each game.
Yep.
Right there, I don't think Onishi really has to engage himself and try and contest point. You know it's going to go in. Everyone else is still on spawn cooldown. You're not going to win that 1v5.
Right.
I think you just let them push it in. I know that's giving them the 2-point lead, but at the same time, you have 3 good ults ready to go for the next round. You have comeback mechanic behind you, and the Moji was working towards the, late into the first round, not towards the beginning.
Right.
When you were trying to capture, but I'd let that one go. He's putting out a lot of damage. Prosper's getting up there now, but Tyra is really the only damage boost, but it's kind of not.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at Skeppy on the Tyra. I mean, 4th to last, or at least only above the healer Makoa as well for Fatal Ambition. They're needing Swarm She to carry a little bit more weight here. This Flashpoint back onto the point. Prosper Logic is able to find these angles. He has been throughout this game, and oftentimes his angle has just been to run straight into the back line of the team. It works out for him more times than not through time and space. No connection there. Finally, a couple first bloods here for Fatal Ambition, but Prosper Logic one more time finds that flank around the backside, gets the healer for Fatal Ambition cleaned up. 63% in climbing now for Flashpoint. Onishi gets the kill. Ralkion as well. Some life from Fatal Ambition as Flashpoint looked to be staggered out for the first time this game.
Some people would argue Moji's good with Wrecker. Some argue that she's not. Also, same scenario with Eevee. Here's the best part. You don't need Wrecker against Flashpoint this game. So
that's true.
It is working in their favor. Ralkion's starting to create some space of his own. Meanwhile, you have Moji spitting and breathing on people, and it's starting to work out here. Man, this is looking good here for Fatal Ambition.
Yeah, a much better look.
Yeah, they fought inside Dark Room there. And that was to their favor, because if you're stuck in that little room, Moji can pretty much cover the entire area. You have the damage boost from Genos, so they're starting to click here, and maybe this is what they needed, you know? A game where they don't need record.
Right, and there was kind of a moment there where you could tell Prosper on the left is kind of thinking, do I fully commit into the back? Do I kind of hang back with the rest of my team? And kind of the deciding moment was really a couple members of Flashpoint, to your point, that was getting burned down by that Moji. And Prosper was left alone in the back line, but not enough with just the kill onto the Genos. So on the defense, for only the second time in this set, they've only dropped a single point, and that was on Timber Mill in a mid-fight. So similar look here on Jag Falls. Minute and a half burning away. Flashpoint didn't really get off a lot of their ultimates on that mid-fight either. I think Exile's Crossfire was still up and available towards the end of it. Now you're kind of approaching that, all right, a minute and 20 seconds left. Do we need to sell out and use these all on defense? Because you might not get them charged up in time.
This should be a good team fight for Flashpoint. They'll have Grover ult here. And of the two teams, both supports don't have them. Grover charges pretty fast.
That's
but
true.
Look at Genos now. He's right up there with him. He was about 20-30% behind him a second ago.
Potentially like more automatic game changing for Flashpoint with the Whirlwind. Through time and space has the potential, but if it doesn't connect, no good. Good hook. As Skeppy gets pulled in, Ralkion finishes off that kill. Ultimate's now starting to fly. Legacy drops down the seismic crash. They're able to shrug it off though, Fatal Ambition. Whirlwind used late in the fight. Prosper Logic gets topped off. Still in the back, Storm Avatar looking for a couple of axes. Big double kill now from the Victor all the way around the back line of Fatal Ambition. Big 3 kills, make it 4. Prosper standing. He's laughing. 26 seconds remaining, and what a play from the Victor to save that fight.
Prosper just makes plays on Jag Falls lands, man.
We're watching the fight, and then we flip to his cam, and he's just way in the back line. It's nuts, dude.
Ding, 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 baby, right
That's
in the head. Slot machine in full effect, but Fatal Ambition still have a chance here. I wouldn't use any ults.
Yeah.
Especially with the ones they do have. I mean, maybe snack time, but that is kind of a...
Especially if Onishi gets burned down here. I mean, I think that's just a losing fight. Skeppy does die, so it's a 1-for-1.
It's not an even 1-for-1. You lose your main tank. They lose hit scan damage. They've got Victor on the other side.
And Prosper Logic's going to use that barrage. Very quick charging there for him. Grenade not going to connect. At least not do enough damage to grab the kill. Ralkion flying through, has started to warm up a little bit on this Eevee in this game. They're going to need a little bit extra here. Overtime wants to expire so bad it will. Flashpoint on set point. One more point away, and they go to your Console Wars finals. And sometimes you just need a pop-off performance. Prosper Logic's feeling it here this morning.
They lost Onishi, but while he was on his way back, they still had Makoa there. They were still able to stall this payload out. And Ralkion started going towards that right side, or left, depends on which way you're looking at it, but he was going right towards Prosper and Grover back there, trying to get in their face. If he would have been able to put them behind the wall, kind of keep them from being able to fire onto the rest of Ralkion's team, they would have been able to maybe get that in. But once Makoa died, they kind of said, okay, this push is over, and that's when you saw Genos just walk right at the team like, hey, kill me, this is over.
Please, I'm done for, send me back to base.
Yeah.
Ghost has actually been kind of keeping par with Prosper Logic. You know, Prosper's at 97,000 and some change damage. Ghost 81. So I mean that's a big gap. But kill-wise, 10-5, 10-3. So at least keeping pace. It may just come down to whoever carries this last fight. Prosper's getting the better of Ralkion here. Going to throw out the grenade. Swarm She grabs a kill onto Skeppy. So you're missing that Tyra. Prosper Logic finds the angle though immediately in behind Fatal Ambition. If he's able to get the double kill, which he is, big plays, but still OS Ghost alive. Double kill from the Moji to counter that out for Prosper. A 3-for-2 advantage here for Fatal Ambition, and they're still alive in this game.
That's not an angle, man. He just walked in the back line.
guess.
He just walked in the back line.
That's some sort of angle,
There
right?
has to be a comms issue with Fatal. You cannot allow this. I mean, you can't allow it at all, but you can't allow it for 3 games in a row.
Yeah. I mean, that's just brute force. That's a...
I know Victor's got a sprint, but he ain't the Flash, man. He can't run past you and you'd be like, oh, what's that streak of colors going past me?
Yeah, because I think it was very similar in the last mid-fight where he kind of found his way behind Genos and got the kill there, and actually kind of similar lines to what we saw in the last mid-fight where Fatal Ambition were able to win. Prosper got in behind, but still lose the fight.
He's looking like Marshawn Lynch. He just runs straight up the gut. He's running straight up the middle. It's not even like any, he's sneaking around the side or anything.
No, he's just walking his way right on through, drops that shoulder scoring touchdowns more times than not. Good lad, double kill here. Now he's doing it with Prosper Logic out of the fight. Just one more burst. That's a big triple kill from the Atlas. No game to win here from Flashpoint. Fatal Ambition, though, could tie this one up with a successful push. Flashpoint getting close to a couple of ultimates. And this is kind of a scenario where Skeppy, I don't think, has had like a horrible game or really a bad game, but if he starts to really flip things around here towards the end, that Tyra starts to bump up from that 42,000 damage, this gets a lot scarier for Fatal Ambition.
He's the utility hit scan in this situation here. He's there for his damage and his firebomb, and the way he can control areas with that firebomb, you know, push people off point, push people out of a room, keep people in a room, things like that. They do have an Inara as well, so they can kind of wall them into it. But, I mean, it all goes back to, okay, Tyra's sitting in the back, and Victor's running at you. How do we deal with that? If I'm Fatal Ambition right here, I'm building full 5 ults. We're getting our ult economy up and in good health. Try to force out some ults from Flashpoint. They just used Grover ult. About 50% on Tyra ult. Push Flashpoint's ults out, even if it's like the throwaway ults. Gain your ults. You're going to have comeback mechanic. Won't be as strong as if you're down by 2. Go into the next round with that and control the room, whether it's left or right, light or dark, whichever one you want to use. Next round, do that again, and then you'll have a win condition there.
Yeah, I mean, they've seemingly felt comfortable on the last couple of mid-fights as they were able to turn it around in this game. It might just come down to that one more time with overtime set to begin here in just a moment. Fatal Ambition could tie. Keep your eyes on those ultimate meters, though. That could be big and game-changing here. Flying on through, Ghost into the back line, throws up the magic barrier. Legacy holding on to that seismic crash hook up against the wall. Legacy controlling the space so well. Watch out for Ghost in behind you. They finally turn around and see him a little bit. Swarm She a little bit too deep. Up goes the magic barrier. Once that goes down, the healing's not going to be there. Not enough. Flashpoint are running away with this one. Prosper Logic one more time in behind Fatal Ambition. And the score stays 2-3. Still a chance to tie, though, on this next mid for FA.
All right, there's 3 ways you do what Fatal did right there, but to have success with it. When Moji dives the back line like that, at that point of the map here on Jag, against the Flashpoint comp, you either have to kill Inara and while that Moji is hitting the back line, because if you don't, then the entire team could turn around except for Inara and kill Moji before Inara even loses 10% health, right? So they've got to either kill Inara when they get in that back line, or someone needs to go with Moji, because Good Lad and Skeppy turned around instantly together. That's what Flashpoint does. They kind of play like, if you go back and watch NIP from the PPL, Bird, he's always in the right position, and he always has someone with him. It's usually like Bittner, you know? They play Tyron Serpent Peach. They sit in the room, and every time. So you can shoot one bullet at Bird. He just turns around.
Turns around. No, you're not touching my support. Not today. A little bit of bodyguarding there. Smoochie, another first blood in these fights for Fatal Ambition. The Makoa just runs right down Main Street. Gets the kill onto Legacy, so now having to fight back in our Flashpoint. Some ultimates for them. Crossfire used by Skeppy. Ghost with the first kill as well. Back around the corner goes Swarm She. They use the Crossfire, but aren't able to make up any ground. Still half fast cap. As you point out here, Fatal Ambition with some good ultimates to zone out with.
This is good. This is good. That Crossfire hit Magic Barrier. Then it hit Barricade.
Stop the payload.
This is a big one here
and they've
for
got
Fatal Ambition.
4 ults.
Yeah, all they used was Ancient Rage. They held on to everything else. Flashpoint, again, another mid-fight where they weren't able to use too much on their side. They Crossfire maybe just to try to pull something back. But this has been a wave crashing against a levee over and over on this defensive stand for Flashpoint. Fatal Ambition haven't been able to really turn that around. Snack time Ghost is going on the flanking mission one more time. Magic Barrier. Notice some of that healing down in your bottom left. The Genos healing now in. And some Moji still. Not enough, though, to withstand all of Flashpoint looking at you all at once. 32,000 healing. I mean, you look at the charts over there. That's nothing to scoff at.
He did something right. He did get some magic marks onto both front lines. But, you know, turn and look at a weaker opponent there, because you're looking at 2 bulky front lines. One who's got a lot of DR, the other one who could just rewind.
I'm not excited to try to burn through an Inara or an Atlas. If,
no matter what you're playing.
Right. Absolutely not. Good look here, though, as Legacy one more time caught out at the beginning of these fights.
A lot of resilience coming out from Fatal Ambition as well.
It's good buys. good buys for them there. I mean, you look between did you notice the Tyra talent? I didn't notice at the beginning. I'm assuming Burn Monster.
I'm assuming it's Burn Monster too.
Because that's what everyone runs on this one.
Yeah, I think with the resilience, it like helps you get out of it faster. But
Right,
really,
I think.
it's not.
I don't know. If
It helps with Inara's cripple.
It does help with
It
Inara's
helps you get
cripple,
out
right.
quick, faster.
Right. I mean, the kind of big conversation on Timber Mill was maybe they're not prioritizing the Wrecker enough, things like that. Now, starting to level out here for Fatal Ambition. They've won 3 straight mid-fights, so now if you're Flashpoint, I mean, you have to defend here, so you might have to be put in an awkward position where we need to burn our ultimates on this defense, and they don't necessarily have to on the offense. So, well, unless they want to win, they could use their ultimates here on the offense, but definitely one thing to look at, the kind of juggling of the offensive economy, or the ultimate economy, rather, going back and forth.
Yeah, so the big question are they controlling the map beautifully enough to capture it outright, or are they kind of relying on the comeback mechanic? Now, if Flashpoint's able to defend this for the 3rd straight time, then we'll see next round if they end up losing the capture because they don't have any comeback mechanic. Then that was what was really helping them, and if they're able to capture, then it would be, they controlled the map nicely. They're making good adjustments late into the game, and that's something that a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams in any league, PML, PPL, PCL, you have to be able to adjust mid-game, not just in between games, not just in between rounds or in between, sets or, from week to week. That's important, but even in the middle of a game, if you're able to adjust, it's like going to halftime.
I mean, as quick as these games have been as well, Flashpoint have run away with games 1 and 2, but this one a little bit more contested. It's been a lot of, you see Fatal Ambition just kind of try to counter out maybe even what Prosper's doing. He's really liked these flanking runs with the Victor. As you point out, not even so much a flank, is just running straight
up
down the
middle.
But then you see Swarmshy in that last fight. The Makoa has been hit or miss this game. But then he runs right down Main Street, big hook onto Legacy to open up the killing there. And the zone then on the back of it, they just get 1 kill effectively and then are kind of able to box out Flashpoint, keep them from moving in. Still enough time to push this one in. Do you notice anything maybe on the pushes for Fatal Ambition that haven't been working? I know Ghost has really tried to do these big kind of roundabout fight in behind Flashpoint.
Yeah, so when I rewatch all the games from players, I go in there myself and I go top view, and there's a lot of things that you can recognize from Flashpoint that they're doing here against the Moji. And what they do is, since it's 3 lanes, essentially, they're putting Tyra in the back line, not just protecting the support either. Skeppy is, Moji's on the left lane, boom, so Tyra goes over there.
Moves.
Moji's on the right lane, boom, Tyra goes over there.
He's countering out.
Yeah, and Good Lad, you'll see him. He'll be going left and right too, but he's more towards the middle of the map, so he just kind of like walks past like, oh, what's up, Barrick? How you doing? How you doing, Anar? Just walks right past him through the middle and like, all right, I'm here. Where's Moji?
Yeah, I just, there are the adjustments, and Fatal Ambition have been looking better, on the mid-fights, push notwithstanding. You just almost get this feeling with Flashpoint that it's just going to be one big turnaround fight from somebody like Prosper, and I guess that's kind of what he brings, an official triple, kind of delayed quadra there on a couple defenses ago. You see him standing up, getting hyped for it. That's sometimes all you need for Flashpoint is just one big burst moment, and that's what they're going to need on this next mid-fight maybe if they want to turn things around against Fatal Ambition. In the ultimates as well. I feel like they've held on to them throughout these mid-fights. The last one, and maybe it's like the hand they're dealt. They only get the chance to use the crossfire, but by the end of it, they still have like 4 ultimates sitting there.
Yeah, it goes for both teams. I mean, we saw that last mid-fight, both teams only used 1 ult.
Right.
And they were well, Fatal Ambitions was a good ult.
Right.
Flashpoints was not.
Sure.
I mean, it's a good ult, just didn't work good enough. But yeah, Moji's been a big factor, especially with the Makoa like that.
Yeah.
Combine those abilities. You don't see a lot of teams doing that anymore. You used to see like when a Gnar cripple was good, you'd see Makoa's pull people into the cripple.
Right.
Now it's like, hey, I've got a full magic mark on this character. Pull him in for me.
Right.
And then spit on him.
And I like sort of the point you brought up because you could really see it there where Skeppy was just sort of mirroring Ghost throughout that fight. All right, so it is Burn Monster.
Perfect.
We all sort of figured it would be. And that is now confirmed. 5 streak for Storm Avatar and 12 for Skeppy. Snack time used. Is he able to get the execute? Not just. His Legacy shrugs that one off. Onishi way in there. Everyone from Flashpoint turns around, identifies the barrack, grabs the kill with 15 seconds left. Could be detrimental if anyone else here from Fatal Ambition are going to drop down. Now it's Swarmshi. With 8 seconds left, you're not going to get back into this fight if there's any bigger of a stagger from Flashpoint. Could be the end of it. Looks like they're just going to back off. You have a touch with Ralkion if you want to move in. They don't. Now you got a 3-3 mid fight. Either Flashpoint or go into the Console Wars finals, or Fatal Ambition extend it one more game.
So Burn Monster on this map is really good, especially against the barrack, against the rest of the comp for Fatal as well. But for the barrack, you know, he relies on his escape.
Yeah. Gets
it back if he's below a certain amount of health. He gets shielding off of it, and it extends his life a great amount. So you throw that on him, and boom.
Yep.
Now Burn Monster's the same. It hasn't
Correct.
changed. Hunting Party did.
Right.
And, you know, going into a game, you're like, Burn Monster's good here, but Hunting Party's just so much better.
Right.
And now it's kind of like...
Because I think we've seen, like, 1 or 2 Mercy kills here and there. I mean, there's some variety, but I think Burn Monster has kind of become, like, the choice for most of these games.
Mercy kill is good if you can aim.
Right. If you can aim, then it's solid. So that's why I don't play Mercy kill, because I certainly can't aim. But Flashpoint going to turn things around. They're now fighting in this backside. Whirlwind used from Storm Avatar, getting aggressive. In onto the Genos. Prosper Logic grabs the kill through time and space. No connection. Swarmshi through the Ancient Rage gets burned down as well. A great looking fight for Flashpoint. They're right back onto this midpoint. Prosper Logic deep in the back line of Fatal Ambition. One more zone for Flashpoint will send them to your Console Wars finals. 60% cresting that mark now. Fatal Ambition, no ultimates to look at. They're going to have to fight back in. Maybe a shell spin, maybe a blink from Ralkion, but a zone might just be enough. 93 climbing up. Ralkion grabs the touch, blinks right back out. Great wall to block off a couple. Overtime melting away slowly. Ralkion one last time is going to blink in. Swarmshi moves in, grabs the hook onto Skeppy. Is he able to get the kill though? He is, but he goes down solo himself. Good lad grabs the shots. Genos back into the fight. Seismic crash from Legacy drops down. Gets the stun. No kills for him as Ralkion now rejoins the fight. It looks like Fatal Ambition may turn this one around.
Yeah, and did you see that team fight where, you know, Prosper got lifted by Genos and he still killed him? A lot of people say you can't watch old VODs from like a year ago even, right? Because the meta changes. Yes, the meta does change. But strats do not, positioning doesn't as much, right? They did this exact play last year on Jag Falls.
And it worked out. This time for Fatal Ambition after getting blown out of the water in games 1 and 2. Turn around game 3. Another 2-0 start for Flashpoint here as well, notably. And then 4 straight mid-fights won for Fatal Ambition. And it wasn't clicking there towards the end for Flashpoint. So finally some life from Fatal Ambition. No 3-0 here today. And it's a big turn now. This is kind of the first big test for Flashpoint. I mean, they got 3-0'd once in the PCL this split. I mean, maybe some asterisks on that set, whatever it may be, but this is maybe the first kind of detriment, maybe the first rough patch they'll have to experience here on land. So Fatal Ambition with a little bit of momentum.
All right, so a couple key components from that match, right? Don't need Wrecker because there were no shields for Flashpoint, right?
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Second, Ghost is playing Moji, right? Something he's comfortable with, something he's played. We haven't seen him play Cassie in the last the last 26 weeks of the year.
That's right. And the Moji works. I mean, they pivoted to the Lex, something to be desired there. Moji on Jag Falls. Apparently it just works. Fatal Ambition grabbed their first win. Gonna have to do that 2 more times. Find out if they can in just a sec.
Despite the loss, I'm over here, gotta get across. Whether you like it or not, there is a moment meant for us. And now you made it, but I already played this. Not interested, open your eyes, let's get it done. Take my hand, just follow me. Shadow me, I want. Sky is on fire. The lake has turned to a golden sun. Oh, I'll never get
Jaguar Falls just so happened to be the map that Fatal Ambition needed to be able to take their first game against Flashpoint in this set. And not only that, we saw the Moji doing an absolutely insane amount of damage on Jaguar Falls. I'm happy.
I was going to say, I don't think anything could wipe the grin off of your face right now. I think it is permanently planted there. And man, does this mean Eevee Moji better than Victor?
I think so.
It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
But still, good performance, I think, by Fatal. And I think that goes to show you can lose every single push. You can just win the mids. That wins you the game. As long as you have that on lock, you can do it. And the mobility, I think, that Fatal Ambitions comp gave them was the biggest deal for that. Having that Moji, having that Eevee. The Moji, a little less mobile than the Eevee, but Ralkion still dropping 6 digits on his own. That mobility and rotation potential was huge, and it allowed them to take whatever angle they wanted to fight on those mid-fights.
I mean, between Prosper and Ghost, I mean, the two of them doing obscene amounts of damage. I mean, you have the almost 200k from Prosper. You have about the 160k from Ghost on the other side, and Fatal Ambition, once again, I mean, you mentioned it. It's a matter of they were behind for a really, really long time. I mean, Ralkion was having a rough game. Onishi, a rough game. A lot of them were having rough games, but it came down to the end of it. It came down to these mid-fights. That's what mattered. As soon as those cauterizers started coming up online, it was harder for Storm Avatar to do what he needed to because a lot of them had caught 3. Ghost was definitely one of the people that you had to be careful of, not only because he was on the Moji, but because of how close together everything is, and he was one of the first people with caught 3. And that made it easier for him to dive who he needed to.
Exactly, and you can just see the burst pressure he was putting on so tough, especially with that greater good lifesteal buff in his build that he was running. Constantly getting that 40% lifesteal back on shots. And that's pretty, even in the face of Cauterize, you can't really ignore it. That's good healing he's able to get. Also hitting some decent dismounts with Familiar Spit too, I think when they were zoning up here. Shoutouts to Ralkion for getting the OT and also surviving the barrage here.
Correct,
Used all his cooldowns to get away from it. But so Ralkion managed to trigger the OT for this OT fight to even happen, but Ghost, in the end, was such a force on Jaguar Falls, as we're used to seeing Moji. So impactful. But now Fatal Ambition have to take this win and flip it to a map where they maybe can't play Moji, a map with maybe a completely different style. They had an alright performance on Timbermill earlier, but maybe, well, they went down 4-1, but they had some moments. If they can maybe turn it around, flip the draft they had here, that draft logic at least, onto those other maps, they might have a shot at coming back in this set.
I mean, that's what they needed. They needed this one win to be able to try and flip that momentum, which is why I was making such a big deal of them going on Jag. This is exactly as you were saying. It's a very, very skill-based map. This is a skill check. I mean, this is that both teams going up against one another and seeing who can come out on top. I mean, Flashpoint were able to actually close out this set for a 3-0, but since Fatal Ambition now have this one game under their belt, we're going to Flashpoint's map. I mean, they're the ones that lost, so that's going to be absolutely huge. And can Fatal Ambition hold on to what they have right now?
Yeah, Fatal have to win 2 of Flashpoint's map picks in a row if they want to take this set, head to the console wars, and end up in the upper side of the bracket moving forward. But they got time. Time to figure out what they want to do on the other pick. This is the longer break. It's the middle of the set. That's where they tend to place it, best of 7s or best of 5s after game 3.
Right.
Best of 5, 4 for 7. So they have some time to wait, figure out their plan. They can maybe just try to find a way to adapt this draft. The pressure they put on from the Eevee wasn't probably what they wanted. Maybe pull out a little bit more Mave. That more direct damage might help them out a little bit in contesting some of these backlines. The Midnight could also help them execute a little bit harder if that's where they want to go. But now they're just going to talk it through, figure it out. They needed this win, though, for sure. Flashpoint was 8-1 map-wise before this game. I mean, now it's still pretty one-sided now. I think it's like 11-5 still in favor of Flashpoint. But Fatal Ambition's going to have to adapt that draft moving forward to these new maps.
100%. I mean, it's interesting too because I mean, once again, you brought up or at least said it very briefly, very briefly, excuse me, the map. I mean, Stonekeep is gone. I mean, typically this is around the time where we would see somebody try and default to Stonekeep, at least on the PC side, about game 4 or so, or at least towards the middle of the set. Sometimes people start off with it, but we see it typically when people are like, okay, we know we can go for it here. We know what can sort of set us up to win on this map. But that's gone. So is Serpent Beach. And I mean, I don't know what kind of map it is that Flashpoint could try to opt to go for. If it's anything like before, I mean, was Timbermill Flashpoint's pick? What was that?
Timbermill was Fatal Ambition's pick.
It was Fatal Ambition's pick. Okay. And I was going to say, I don't know if it could just be the fact that maybe, I mean, even if Flashpoint didn't pick it, they did really well on that really, really sort of polarizing map on Timbermill. I mean, they could go for Splitstone. They can go for these wider maps.
Splitstone, I think, would be the next in line, right? Because it does have a lot of verticality.
Right.
And Serpent's banned. So if you want verticality, you're kind of shoehorned into going towards Split, which is still open. Ice Mine still available. Bazaar available. A lot of potential options. If they want that vertical map, it has to be Split. Otherwise, for wide maps, basically everything's open. I mean, Bazaar, Ascension, Frozen Guard. It's going to be Bazaar.
Okay, it's going to be Bazaar,
So
okay.
a more open map, but with I almost want to say a mid with a lot of pathways you have to watch. You
Correct.
can't get away with not covering every lane. Watching under the upper area, on top of the upper, across the point, a lot of ways you can go. And the objective itself is really big, so it's a lot easier to get that overtime touch, and that is a interesting ban. I would say Makoa is decently solid in this map in terms of equalizing that high ground, pulling people down towards the objective, or just off of that little bit of elevation you can get on the midpoint. I'd expect to see Talus banned on the other side, not because it's good, but because that's just what they're used to. And it's actually Victor banned instead, and I think that's smart after what Flashpoint's been doing on first pick with Victor.
Right. I mean, I agree with Fatal Ambition's ban. I already agree with it. I mean, you've got, they have first pick. This is their map pick. Don't give them something they're comfortable on. Make sure that you get rid of the characters that you know that they'd like to have. I mean, of course, you have to prioritize some of the bans as well. You got to get rid of some of these point tanks. They have first pick, like I was just saying. So they definitely have to sort of plan their bans really, really carefully. I like the Victor ban first for Fatal Ambition, though, for sure. Makoa, interesting. Vivian, they got rid of that. There's 2 hit scan targets gone. Now here's what it comes down to. Alice can be pretty scary on this map. That's what I was just about to mention that. I was gonna mention like another hit scan presence, not specifically. I wasn't thinking about Strix, but I was saying.
You'll get the horns.
Okay, Talus. I mean, Flashpoint, it's been left open. They got him. This is going to be sort of scary for Fatal.
I want to see Atlas Leon coming from the other side, honestly. I feel like Leon will do a lot against the Talus. Considering this map is so wide, it's going to be so tough for Talus to get in.
Yeah.
So open as long as you're watching the right lines of play. Geno's going to be picked instead, though, and I don't know if I like giving up the Leon potentially. I guess taking away a damage-boosted Talus is pretty strong. You don't want to give him even more damage when that's kind of the only reason you're really picking him. See what happens on the other side in response to that. I want Flashpoint to take Leon here. I don't think Tyra is as effective on this map, but Leon has that long distance burst potential. Also able to kind of win duels, of course, with the Enlightenment, close range. See, and they do take it.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I think not taking on a Fatal Ambition side is a mistake. But they won last game without a backline, and they might be able to do it again here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Talus, you've got Leon, you've got Barrick. 3 of them are already pretty, well, 2 of them are already pretty strong. Talus is definitely the bane of console players a lot, so they definitely want to get rid of him, but he is actually let free this go around. They're going to be able to pick him first. And Fatal Ambition, they've got 2 more characters that are open. Of course, they could still take their frontliner, they could take their DPS, they could take support, whoever it is that they actually need to. Well, not support, excuse me. They've already gotten their support. They've already got the Genos. They could take their frontliner or they could take their DPS, which is what it seems like they're probably going to end up doing. It's going to be the Ashe. And for second off, who do you think that they might try and pick in that case?
Could be a potentially. I was gonna say could be a flanker. I was gonna say Maeve. Xin coming in is a little more surprising. Maybe they're just running it to buy time with the Talus. Talus, as we all know, is on that timer from that Rune of Travel when he places it down. He's limited purely by that, so a flanker that can buy time with counter, with Billow, anything to slow him down could be what they want. Looks like it's going to be what they want. Xin, haven't seen him in console or in general very often, but Xin Ashe. That's aggressive.
Yeah.
If they want to just go in, I think that is definitely one way to do it. Dama potentially on the other side. Good targeted long-range healing. Good CC ultimate, but and not too much CC actually on the rest of them, so it could have been a good pick, but it looks like they might want to go with Fury instead. Dama, not as popular on console, I think, because of maybe the aim assist dragging you away from your teammates when you're trying to heal them. The game's like, no, you want to shoot.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what you're trying to do, sir, but I think you prefer to left click on the enemy.
Well, I mean, Lex is going to be the final pick for Fatal Ambition right here. And I mean, okay, both of these teams look pretty stacked. I mean, for the Zen, can you potentially see, I mean, well, this is the talent as he normally goes. I mean, the Yomi, like the Yomi is pretty much where he's going to go, right? It's because of these long hallways that Bazaar has. I mean, it's pretty much, he can just shred, literally like a Beyblade, just let it rip right down the hallway. Pretty much take care of
possibly even Smolder. If
True,
they really want to buy
point.
time against the Talus, it is a way to reset. I wouldn't run Guillotine, I don't think, into this composition.
Right.
Just doesn't really have the oomph that I think you'd want it to. You'd want it to be against like meteor tanks, like Nara Ashe might be a Guillotine game, but Barrack Khan, I really don't think so. Right. I think Fatal Ambition have the tools to beat Flashpoint. Again, I'm not a fan of Talus, so I'm definitely biased against it, but I think not having the Leon might end up biting Fatal Ambition in the end.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that's actually going to be the case. Game 4 with Bazaar already in the pool. Let's go, guys.
And not something you get to see every day in that Talus is not only not banned, but picked up here from Flashpoint. Blue, what kind of role does this Talus play in this Flashpoint lineup? I mean, constantly banned out. The ban rate, at least through the first 3 games, was 100%. We're going to grab a pick here on Bazaar for Flashpoint. What do you expect out of the Talus?
I mean, if Kresnik honestly would say, like, we haven't seen Talus in so long that you forget, is he good anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, he still is. And I think, you know, when you have people like Skeppy and Prosper playing
Right.
it could be a very dangerous thing to have going against you, especially on a map like this. You're able to hide your teleport a lot of different places out of plain sight.
Right.
You know? You got all these little rooms up and down all over. Flashpoint's been drafting beautifully. You saw the Victor ban come in from Fatal Ambition. Immediately. Well, immediately there was a kill. But immediately Vivian was banned by
Right.
Flashpoint. You know, oh, they banned Victor? Guess what? You're not getting Vivian. You're going to give us Talus.
Yeah, you saw it coming too. The moment that Victor was banned out, you said, there's a Vivian, there's a Talus, and sure enough, Talus gets picked up. Skeppy dropped down the Rune of Travel, but then immediately deleted by Ralkion back on the Lex. Checkerboard of kills, red and blue for both teams. Fatal Ambition in control of the point with 72% and climbing. Skeppy back into the fight with a kill of his own here. Swarmshy stunned out just for a moment by that beam. Flying on in. 93% is where Fatal Ambition are going to stall out. Not before 99 gets reached. So a fight back in overtime here for Flashpoint. Drops down the Rune of Travel, looking for some damage. Gonna absolutely rip through Ralkion. I guess that's why you picked Talus. One less member for Fatal Ambition. The rest turn tail and run away. And overtime's gonna expire, but Flashpoint are still gonna be in control with 24% and climbing.
Yeah, so Talus is going to be like the main distraction here because he's just going to shred through people with the overdrive. But if Skeppy's able to draw most of the attention from Fatal Ambition, even if he doesn't get any kills off of it, I mean, you have Prosper on Leon.
Yeah, that's
one of the better Leon players on console. Not only that, Leon is very good against Talus, and they took it away.
Counter pick, and something that's good for them as well. 99% for both teams. First in flame of the game for Flashpoint, burning away. Skeppy, another kill onto Ralkion. Spite used in the back line. Swarmshy grabs the kill. Prosper Logic, sneaky, in back behind the Fatal Ambition lineup. Counter out, dash right on through. Not enough to get the kill. Ghost still alive, back around the corner. Overtime expires so fast. Swarmshy is able to reset it. Not enough bodies, though, for Fatal Ambition, and a slugfest leaves Flashpoint on top.
It's okay. If Fatal Ambition can adjust mid-game like they did last, it can work. You see, last game we had Moji with Ghost. Not a super popular champion, but something he's comfortable with, something he's played. Same thing with Xin. Not super popular, but he's comfortable with it. He's played it during the season. He's had success with it. It's second nature to him, the abilities and stuff. You know, Cassie, he probably only started practicing once he got a PC after the season was over and was like, all right, we're going to land. Let's spice it up. Spice didn't work, boys.
Not just yet. Xin, okay looking to start this one off, at least getting involved a little bit, but a big double kill from Skeppy on this Talus, showing the power of the champion. They're going to storm these gates. This is normally where the defense is able to kind of draw that line. You really know where Flashpoint, the offensive team, are coming from. Through time and space, just a little bit wide there. Skeppy burning away back to the Rune of Travel, but he doesn't travel very far. Ghost grabs the kill. That might just slow things down here as Fatal Ambition look to make up some ground.
Look at the target prioritization from Xin here. He looks at Khan, shield still up, looks right back at Furia, looks back at Khan again. I mean, his brain is clocking at 400 miles right now.
Yeah, the back and forth, the min-maxing of every moment. Make sure to maximize that damage. You see Talus went, Spite used just for a little bit of repositioning. Gonna have to billow out. And then a whirl to just fully complete the escape. 52 seconds left. Flashpoint 4 ultimates ready. First one used. That's on to Ghost. Gonna be able to burn him away. Storm Avatar grabs the kill. Good setback. But a dash from Goodlad puts him right back into position. How much can you capitalize on that one pick? Is now what Flashpoint look to answer.
I didn't like that pick. I didn't like the target Khan grab. He already used Billow. Already used Whirlwind. And you know,
the escape tools weren't there, all on cooldown for him. You may have been able to grab the kill nonetheless.
The cooldowns aren't too
not too
high for Xin, but still, you take care of the flank. Yes, you know, which one of these comps we see the Talus,
right?
So does that draw your attention towards the regardless of it, or do you like Fatal Ambition because you mentioned before we started that this is the first time we've seen Ash so far?
I love seeing the Ash. I will say, oh no! The assert dominance completes at the last moment. Onishi throws it up and ends up dropping down, but it just takes him out of contest range. And that's a big ultimate they're not going to have for the rest of this mid-fight. And to kind of revert back to your question, I like the creativity of Fatal Ambition. They've been throwing out kind of these different looks. Ash now, I love her as a front line, controlling however way you want it. But I think it always just kind of reverts back to me where I have to take team into account, where I think Flashpoint are just too good. I mean, you give Skeppy a Talus, damage numbers, not out of this world, but I like the point you brought up where he's turning heads, making people think twice about which targets to look at, and Prosper Logic is prospering under those conditions at 5-2 and 3. An unfortunate event there. You see assert dominance top right back down to 4%. Onishi completed the ultimate, so they need something a little bit different here. Patience from Ralki on Swarmshi. Grabs the first kill as well. Legacy did not get the dome shield off, so that one's still able to be used on the re-engage. Skeppy with the kill onto Ghost one more time. Still has the true power, doesn't use it. Wouldn't have been a great spot for it either, but Ralki finding some space on this left-hand side, but Fatal Ambition in control.
Lex keeps trying to put his bounty. You see how he keeps resetting it?
Yeah.
He keeps trying to put it on Talus, which is a good look. I didn't catch what legendary he's using. Could get that extra damage through the shield. Doesn't quite hit anything there. He's playing the Lex very nicely. I think he should kind of bounce back to the outside.
Right.
He's not going to fully flank. Maybe just sit in the back line, protect his healer from that Talus. If he is able to keep the marks on the Talus, he'll be able to do more damage to the Talus.
Right.
AKA, not as much heads will be turned for Prosper to just unleash on people. This is a good fight from Flashpoint, though, because they're kind of controlling. Look, you got two on the right side there, tank and a damage. You got the off tank, which is the damage tank, on that left side right here, being a good lad on the con. You've got the support. There comes the dismounts. Then you've got the support sitting on the, now main tank has gone back to the mid, and the team has gone back. And
they just need one more zone here. Prosper Logic gets the kill as Onishi looks to re-engage. Second chance, pulls back Swarmshi. Overtime expiring so quickly. Here are they in range. Ralkion gets pulled right back on through. Might have actually reset the overtime timer, but they do get the kill nonetheless. Ghost goes down as well. Swarmshi thinks twice about dropping down into it. Flashpoint up 3-0, 1 point away from advancing to the Console Wars Finals. In blue, that's the second time we've seen that. Fatal Ambition get to 99%, and then Flashpoint able to retake and then complete the complete 0 to 99 and grab point number 3.
Beautiful retake from Flashpoint, but even better looking zone.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, they split. There's 3 lanes. They put the off tank over there. The main tank went with the damage.
Right.
Then after the dismounts came through, flawlessly, Legacy goes back towards mid. Barrick's good at holding doorways and entry points. He held that entry point. It's no longer an entry.
Yeah, they rotate back very nicely and kind of regroup with one another.
And the other thing to note is that they're playing with Furia.
Yeah.
So you've got those 2 zoning on the left and right. They're on the high ground, and then you have Barrick in front of you.
Yeah.
You can heal all 3. There's line of sight there. They're on the same page right now, and it's beautiful to watch.
Lots of good spacing. Another through time and space. Not connecting. And Flame, you always connect with that one, except for extremely rare cases. Skeppy gets the kill. Onishi, a better assert dominance this time. Grabs him the kill onto Legacy. You have to control this one. Prosper Logic on the Leon, back on his own. Enlightenment does not connect. 3 members turned around looking at him, though. Can the rest of Flashpoint connect? True Power flies on through, gets the kill onto the Genos. Ghost and Ralkion needing to hold down this line with Swarmshi as well. And it looks like Flashpoint might just pull themselves backward. Exiles could be used here to just seal this one up. Overpower, Dome Shield still waiting, but at least for now, looks like a good defense from Fatal Ambition.
When Prosper died, Talus doesn't need to ult. He shouldn't have ulted because you don't have Prosper there. Remember, they're looking at Talus, right?
Yep.
Prosper can unleash Havoc. He can't do that. He's gone. Spawn advantage in favor of Fatal Ambition. Beautiful, beautiful turnaround from them. I said that early on. You can't let Prosper just walk behind you. He didn't. Flash. Oh, but
this might look bad. That overpower connects onto Ralkion. Now both your damage dealers are done. If Flashpoint can push this advantage, it may go in. 1, 2, 3 are down. Flashpoint in on the zone. Fatal Ambition, just a couple of members left alive. You're going to have to spite in Up and over he goes. Ghost finds the angle and Flame burning away. No counter for that one. Flashpoint, they're going to push it in, and they're going to move on to the Console Wars Finals in convincing performances, except for maybe Game 3. But they rounded out with a big 4-0, and the confidence, you can feel it coming from that room.
Yeah.
Big smiles.
Fatal Ambition was playing very nicely right there on the defense when we were talking about, but everything turned around because another beautiful, beautiful retake from Flashpoint, just like they did in the mid-fight. And that's what they do. That's what this team has done throughout all of this year. Even, you know, you take Skeppy out and you put whoever's been in that place before, they're always a very well-coordinated team. Don't forget Swarm standing up right there. He used to coach this team last year. So, you know, some of these strats that he maybe helped Flashpoint develop are being used against them. And it's tough to kind of counter what they are taught by you.
What they're bringing out. I know, and the road is not over just yet for Fatal Ambition. They're going to await the loser of one of our handful of games tomorrow. But the road is now much longer. Can't afford to drop any more sets without going out of the Hi-Rez Expo qualifier week. But Flashpoint, they're looking good. They await the winner of our second set of this Sunday. If you're Flashpoint right now, you look at the second set, who we got going there, which team do you maybe prefer somehow loses? I think Hype Unit, I'm a little bit more scared about going up against.
I mean, they're 72-0.
Right. They got to be.
But, I mean, last year, Vex was heavily favored to lose to Onslaught, and they 3-0'd them. I mean, you got to give Fatal Ambition credit as well. Everyone thought this was going to be a 3-0. A lot of people thought, you know, Fatal Ambition had no chance. And also, they took a map, but not only that, Ghost first land, he did very well. He was on an 0-6 team. 0-6 team in 2018. So this is a big step up.
I loved watching the Moji game from him as well. The burns through him on Jaguar Fall. And that was an uphill fight. I mean, they're down 2-0. They win 4 straight mid-fights. So watch out for those guys in the losers bracket. But watch out for Flashpoint in the Console Wars Finals. Again, waiting the winner of our next matchup. That's it for set number 1. So we're going to send it back to the desk and hear what they're thinking.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great on the cast, as always. And congratulations, Blue, for being able to also be here. Good job on your analysis as well. Credits to him. Shout-outs to Blue. Great to have him. And on top of that, I mean, Flashpoint, I mean, they did win against Fatal Ambition. But, man, oh, man, do they have a game for them where they have to play. The next time we see them, they will be playing against Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, well, no, the next time we see them, they're going to be playing against in the Console Wars Finals. But once they make it to the bracket.
Yeah, if they make it to the bracket, if they make it past that, then they will be able to actually play against that. But that's going to be really sick, too, because then it's like it's a matter of if Hype Unit would actually be able to take their match of the game, too. But we'll have to see if that's actually going to be the case, of course, when we actually get into it. We have the post-game stats right here as well. I mean, Prosper Logic. I mean, you have the 85,000 damage that he's able to pull out. And you mentioned it before. You said that the Leon would be a good pick. You called it back all the way from before, and they picked it, and it paid off in dividends.
Yeah, I think so. The Leon was the last strong long-range hit scan left. It really needed to get picked up, but them going through, we'll have to... It just ended up not being... What they picked ended up not being too great. The Zen did outdamage the Talus. Overall, being able to kind of get some good dives into the backline. Raukion getting a little bit shut down there, but the range of the Leon made it too tough. Leon is an anti-flanker. Yeah. And 2 flanks were picked to deal with her. I think it was more specifically for the Talus, and I guess they did do that, bottom damaging across the board for the DPSs on their side, but not able to do too much else against the rest of the composition.
Yeah, I mean, that is just the power it is. That, I mean, you have with the Leon, you mentioned it was an anti-flanker, and like I said before, I mean, it paid off in dividends. You put him on these hit scan characters, he pays off. It pays off for him so well. They got rid of the Victor, and they went, okay, you get rid of that, we'll be sure to pick up this Leon, and it did extremely well. 13-4, 7-2 for Storm Avatar. Skeppy at the 10-7-11. Even on the Talus, 4-3-23, 4-3-14. I mean, the slash lines are all looking good for him. So, I mean, they definitely have the momentum, especially when they have to play next.
Yeah, for sure. They still have a little bit of a break, so we'll have to see how it goes forward from there. But yeah, like I said, star of that game I think was Prosper in terms of being able to keep up that pressure. Second highlight for him in a row, but I mean, playing like this all those games, I think it is absolutely worth it for sure. That was actually an interesting tech. I didn't even notice the Ghost doing that, the vertical spike, just to be able to touch the objective. The flankers being the ones that have to touch makes things a lot tougher, but again, this Leon anti-flank pressure was just too much for them to deal with that double flank. Hopefully, well, for Fatal's sake, hopefully they can learn from this and move forward. But sometimes when you just get shredded like a Leon like this, how much can you learn other than, wow, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean...
Sometimes that's all you can take away.
I mean, it's funny that we mentioned the point that he was playing, like, the Leon can provide anti-flank pressure.
Yeah.
But even in those replays, I mean, you saw that he was literally just moving with the team. It was like a death ball, even without a Grover. I mean, they were all just grouping up. They were pushing the payload, which is steadily rolling along, and it would be like Prosper would peek around a corner. Pop, there's one dead. Pop, there's another one dead. And it would just keep that momentum going, and that's also the pressure that Leon can bring. She was able to burst down those priority targets, and because of that, that's why they were able to win that Bazaar map.
The snowball's a big part of it, too.
Exactly,
Right? Leon
exactly.
getting those elim CDRs, moving in. After you get one kill, you can immediately be ready to get another. Even just eliminations, even just a little bit of a tag of the little bit is enough to get that reset and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Flashpoint, like we saw, we're able to win 3-1 against Fatal Ambition, but of course we have to be able to talk to the winners, so we're going to throw it right to a quick interview.
That's right, down here with Flashpoint, big winners of our first matchup here. Congratulations to you guys moving on to the Console Wars Finals. Talk to me a little bit about, this has been a long year for you guys, relative success pretty much across the board. Confidence, coming from the online environment here to the LAN environment. Do you feel just as confident here as you do maybe back at home?
I feel like it's definitely different, the scenario we're in. But at the end of the day, we know what we have to do. We have to just play well, play as a team, play to each other's strengths and weaknesses, And we knew what we came here to do, and we did that today. And we're very confident going in. We know Hyper are a very good well, I think Hyper are going to take Cyclone this one, and we know Hyper are a very good team, and we're very prepared to play them. So, yeah.
All right, so I got 2 questions. First, Storm, what's the 7K? Is that the shielding from Fury?
The prize money, dude.
The prize? Oh! 7K strats. We were trying to figure it out. You got close to 7K shielding with Fury at one game. You had like 6,700. So and you were running, Light Dawn 5. So we're like, he's trying to hit 7K shielding. Second question I have is, you guys were up 3-1 on Jag Falls. You ended up losing that 4-3. What happened there with the Moji kind of hitting your back line? Were you expecting the Moji to come out from someone who's played Moji all season mostly?
It was just a McCall,
Yeah.
honestly. We didn't hold space. They'd wrap around us. Swarmzo would hit the McCall to kill one of us, and then the fight would be over. And then at the end, we just stood all on point emoting and
Skeppy did not.
Skeppy threw fire at the wall, we lost. So.
I think the issue was, obviously in the first round, we went up easily because there was no ults at play. And then as soon as we knew Makoro was coming, we kind of changed how we were playing. And it definitely hindered us in a way because we had no map control. We were just waiting for Makoro or Moji to dive us. And obviously TKO played well and Swarmzo played really well that map with Makoro.
Now, obviously, with the win here, I don't want to jump over the Console Wars Finals, but at least with the win here, you confirm yourself in the winners bracket playing tomorrow. Where does the confidence stand for you guys there going up against some of the PPL teams? Obviously, dominant performance in your wins here today. Are you crossing that bridge when you come to it, just worried about the Console Wars Finals right now?
Everyone's putting a lot of confidence in us against our SSG match, I believe. And obviously, we've played a lot, been to a lot of lands. We have a lot of confidence, a lot of experience, same as them. So I think it'll be a good match to watch, regardless of outcome.
I'm excited to play SSG.
I'm excited to see you guys match up against them as well. Big congratulations. We'll see you guys back here in a couple of hours, maybe after our second set, awaiting the winner of Hype Unit and Cyclone, which is our second matchup of the day. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks so much.
Going on, that shade of doubt.